Hello, welcome to my channel and thank you for joining me today. So here I am with my end of month completed pages for January 2023, and from what I can see, a lot of people love watching this video. I love watching everyone else's videos for their completed pages, and I love recording it for you guys and just showing you what I've managed to get done during the month or what I'm working on during the month. So yeah, I'll just basically show you some of my whips first. There are 4 whips here, and then I will go ahead and show you my completed pages. Generally, I think I've had a fairly decent month for coloring in terms of how I've been feeling about my coloring. I think I've been quite inspired this month. I've been quite motivated to color, although I've been quite haphazard in that I feel like coloring everything at the moment. Every time I pick up a book and I just flip through it, I'm like, I really want to color that. I really want to color that. So I've been finding it hard to focus on, just one page and just get it done, or just a couple of pages and get them done. I've been wanting to start so many pages. And so I guess that's not an issue. I think that's a good thing because you're basically then coloring what you're in the mood to color. And so that has basically meant that I have enjoyed whatever coloring time I have had. So whether it was just a little bit of coloring I did, or whether I did a little portion of a whip, or whatever I was working on, I've just enjoyed it basically this month for some reason. But yeah, I'll stop rambling. Let's get started with the whips. Okay, so the first whip I have to show you, which you've seen for many months, is Hannah Carlson's Spirit Animals. But this time I have done a little bit more in it, so that's really good. I started this back, I think, in around summertime last year, but then we went into autumn and we went into winter, and because of the seasons, I haven't really felt like just getting stuck into this page and completing it. So I've been coloring little bits here and there, and it's been a little bit like a page where I come to for mindless coloring, because I've obviously got my leaves, the colors I'm doing for my leaves, the colors I'm doing for the flowers. This month I basically added the pink flowers and the blue flowers and started doing the little lady down here. So yeah, I've actually enjoyed it this month, just bringing in a little bit more color to the page, because before it was just green, blue and white flowers, and obviously the ladybugs that I've had like that for ages. And I think I was getting a bit bored with the colors every time I opened this page, so I was like, okay, I should add some more color to it so it looks a bit more interesting for me when I come to look at this page and continue coloring it. So yeah, I'm actually quite happy with how it's turning out. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the pages because I've done so every month, but basically I'm just using my Albrecht Dürer pencils. I've done it for the background, activated with water for the background, and then certain areas I've activated them and then just gone over with the pencils. Some areas like the white flowers, I've just done them dry coloring. So yeah, I'm enjoying this spread. It's just taking me a while to finish it, but that's okay. I'm enjoying it every time I do color on the page, so that's okay. At least I got a bit more done. That's Hannah Carlson's Spirit Animals. Then my next whip is actually from Fabiana Atanazio's Dream Garden, and the page I have going in this book is this one, and I'm actually really enjoying it. So I started this page for a video on how to use watercolor pencils in your coloring books, and I was just sharing all the techniques that I have used in previous pages that I've colored in coloring books. And I'm sure there's probably a couple of techniques that I haven't seen other people use, that I've shared that I use, and so yeah, you can always check that video out. If I remember, I'll link it in the description box below. But basically all I've done on this page, I only showed a little portion on the video, but then I was enjoying, after I stopped recording, I was like, I really feel like just carrying on with this page. So I went ahead and I finished off the background, and then I've just been doing all the basing of the elements that I showed on the video, so that it's sort of ready for me to go when I want to do a little bit of coloring. So again, this might be a whip for a while, but depending on how much I'm enjoying coloring it, I may end up just finishing it off in one go. But the background, I've only used Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils so far on this page. I used them dry on the paper, activated it with water, and then while the paper was damp, I colored over it with the pencils on top of the background base. So basically dry pencil to wet paper or damp paper. I show that on the video. And then for the pink flowers, I put one color of dry pencil down on the paper, and I used my Tombow Jewel brush pens, a colored pen, not the blender pen, to blend it out into my highlight areas. And then I'm going to deepen it with my pencils dry when I come to color the page, like these flowers here. Similar method here. So I used a pink to blend, a very light pink Tombow Jewel brush pen to blend out a pink pencil here. And then here I used a very light warm grey to blend out which pencil did I use? Light red violet, I think I used. And then I'm going to deepen it up like I did this flower. I've just gone ahead and based my leaves. I put dry pencil down and then activated it with water, and then I'm going to go over with dry pencils. And for the branch or the tree trunk, I have applied my Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils wet off a color palette with a paintbrush or water brush to base the tree trunk. And that's what I've done so far. That's what I've showed on the video, how I do those particular techniques. And now I will go over all these based elements and with my dry pencils and deepen up everything, create the shadows, the highlights, and then figure out, I don't know what I'm going to do with the tree house yet, but once I color those elements, maybe by then I'll get an idea for the tree house. So yeah, I'm really liking how this page turned out. Or I was just enjoying coloring it on the video, and I just went ahead and carried on off camera. So yeah, that is Fabiana Atanazio's Mythographic Dream Garden. I love this book. Well, I love a lot of the mythographic books, but I've only done 2 pages in that particular book, so this will be the 3rd one. All right, then I have Malapa Chatsu Panagito's Nature Mandalas. Now this page I'm struggling with a little bit because of my color choices. Maybe you guys can tell me what you think with fresh eyes, because every time I turn to this page I'm like, oh, I might have made a mistake with my color choices. So I done the background first, the blue, the light turquoise and the purpley background. I was happy with that, and then I went in with this really dark purple and I was like, oh, I've messed it up. So basically what's bothering me is this dark purple. I'm not so sure what I think about it, whether it's working or not. And then I didn't really have a plan of adding green. I don't know why I did, but then I went ahead and added green, and quite a bit of it, but maybe it's going to work. Maybe when the whole page is done, maybe it'll work. Basically I've just used my Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils for the background. I've used Tombow Jewel brush pens for basing the dark purple areas, the leaves and the flowers, and then I've gone over with my pencils dry. For these little circles, I'd done my Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils dry, but they had turned out really bright because I can't remember what colors I used, but the blue turned out too bright, and so I just used my electric eraser and erased it, so it just, you know, not diluted, but, you know, erased off, just reduced that brightness of it. So I basically have to do the same thing for these so it looks the same. And then I used my Sakura metallic jelly roll for all those metallic elements, and I didn't like that it looked too flat, and so I used a Caput Mortem Violet just to add shadows to certain areas, just to give it a bit more interest. And that's it so far. I like, in Malapa Menagerie's Nature Mandalas book, I don't really work with other mandalas. I don't color other mandalas, so I don't know how I would approach those. But with her mandalas, I like to do half the page and try and figure out what colors I'm going to put where. And then I go ahead and do the other half, because then that becomes like mindless coloring for me. Whereas here, I'm still sort of thinking out how to lay out my colors, what colors I'm using, where I'm going to put them, and then, or what other mediums I'm going to use on the page, and then I tend to do the other half, so that when I come to do that other half, it's mindless coloring. I obviously make note of what I'm using so that it looks the same, but yeah, I like doing that with her pages, just because they're so intricate. They do take a while, so it's nice to have a little bit of mindless coloring, a page that you can turn to for mindless coloring. So I like doing that with her pages. So I think I've pretty much done that for every page of hers, yeah, from what I remember. So yeah, that was Malapa Chatsu Panagito's Nature Mandalas. Like, I'm enjoying coloring it, but I'm not so sure about that dark purple. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm being too harsh on myself. All right, then this is the last whip I have, and this is Fabiana Atanazio's Mythographic Menagerie. This is my first page in this book, and I'm doing this page here, and I'm actually really enjoying it. So again, on this page, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've used my Faber-Castell Artwork Dura pencils for the background, activated with water, but then I went over the pencils dry. Over with the pencils dry. Then I've based the tree trunk, the branches so far, just with my Artwork Duras wet. And the crystals I've started to do here are all just dry directly to the paper. And I just really like how it's turning out. I'm just a bit stuck though now, because or obviously the next thing I'm going to do, because obviously I know the color of the branch I'm going to do, but other than that, I don't know whether the crystals here that make up the tail of, is this a red panda, I'm assuming? I don't know if I should do them the same color, or should I do them the color of whatever color I'm going to make the red panda? So I'm really confused with that. Any ideas would be very welcome. But yeah, I'm not sure yet. I don't even know what color or how to do the red panda yet, but I just really wanted to get stuck into this book. And so I started the page. I had an idea for the background, the color I wanted it to be. And so I just went with that color, and then I hadn't thought of anything else, but I think the crystals sort of fit in. But yeah, I don't know how to do the red panda and the crystals on the tail, but we'll see. I'm enjoying, again, another page in a mythographic book. I've really been enjoying the mythographic books. I love them. And I've just been really motivated or inspired to colour in the mythographics this month. But that's Fabiana Atanazio's Mythographic Menagerie. And that was the last whip. Now I'll show you my completed pages. So the first one I have to show you is April. And for the first time in many, many months, I think I started this, back in September, was it? I think. And I've been showing it to you guys every month in my completed pages with tiny bits done. But finally, the page is done. And this is the page here. And I absolutely love it. I really enjoyed colouring this page. I don't know why it took me so long to colour it. I genuinely, I don't know why I was taking my sweet time with it, but I did enjoy colouring it every time I came in here. And I've just used my Faber-Castell Artwork Dura pencils, dry, I think. Yeah, dry on the entire page. And I was trying to replicate the original artwork. And I really enjoyed doing the sweater, trying to, again, replicate the texture that April has in her original. So it's not exactly the same, but you can see that there's some texture to the sweater. And I would never do that in my own colouring. I would never think to do that in my own colouring. So it's really nice sometimes replicating. I've done 2 pages this month where I've replicated original artwork, and you just learn so much with regards to colour combinations when you're trying to mimic their colours, and also certain elements like creating texture on the sweater. Also the hair, I remember the combination I used. I hope I've written it down, but I found that I was using grey as a base, which I would never think to, but it looked grey on the original art. And so again, it made me think of different color combinations to use and different techniques to use. So I really liked actually trying to replicate it. I don't know if I'll do that for the entire book, but I think sometimes it's nice having that artwork. If you want to pick up on some new techniques or new color combinations, it's nice to try and replicate the original artwork. Now the background I did with soft pastels. I think it's the Faber-Castell soft pastels. So I used like a cinnamon and a light flesh, I think, to try and replicate that. I think April would have used watercolor paints, but I don't think it looks too bad with soft pastel, does it? I'd sort of left the background till the end, so I didn't know what else I could use, because I couldn't go in with water, because obviously I use Albrecht Dürer pencils, which are watercolor pencils, and it would be very easy for me to pull out these colors into the background and just mess up my page. So I had to use something dry, and so I went for my soft pastels. I don't think I would have the patience to do a pencil background, but I think it works. I used a very tiny bit of white paint pen just for a few dots here and there, and that's it. I don't think it needed much more. No glitter gel pens, no metallic pens. And I'm happy with how it turned out. And I've picked out another page in this book. But sorry, I apologize that you guys had to see this as a whip for so many months. But yeah, hopefully you guys are glad you're not going to have to see that page again. Which one have I picked out? Oh yeah, I've picked out this page. I think this is quite pretty, isn't it? But I picked it out for like maybe springtime. I'll probably do a video soon on pages I would love to color in spring, like I did for winter, for 3 months. So for March, April, May, maybe. So I'll show you what I have sort of in mind. But yeah, that looks really pretty. The colors really appeal to me. So hopefully I'll do another page soon. How long it'll take me, I don't know. But that's April's Forest Girl, the first book of hers. And that was my first completed page. Then the next completed page is from Hannah Carlson's Seasons. And we did this page. So I did do this page as a color along on the channel. So it's a full color along. And I like how it turned out. I always wanted to color this page. I just never knew how to, because I think I've seen so many versions of this page completed, and there's so many beautiful, beautiful pages. Basically, I would say artwork out there. And so it was always quite intimidating. And then I just try to forget what I've seen and just go with what I would normally do. And it's quite simple, I know, but I enjoyed it, and I like the colors that I put together. So I used distressing for the background. I did use drawing gum to block out the trees and lamps and some of the deer. And then I went over with the distressing, and then I, rubbed off the drawing gum. I used, if I'm not mistaken, my Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils activated with water for the trees, because there were such large areas, just to create the base and the shading, a little bit of shading. And then I went over with the pencils dry. I did just pencils for, I think, the rest. I tried to do a little bit of light effect. I didn't go too crazy. I think it would have been quite difficult for me with trying to do the reflections on the deer and the snow. It's not something I'm very confident in. So I try it on certain pages every now and then. So I did try here a little bit, and I like how I did the reflections on the antlers of the deer, and a little bit here on the snow. So I like how I did that. I'm still working on fur. I don't know if I'll ever improve on fur, because I feel like my fur has looked the same for a long, long time now. So I don't know how to change that. But one thing I have noticed is, yeah, my fur turns out too perfect for it to look realistic when I use my pencils to do the strokes. But recently what I've started doing is using my Thule Art paint pens. You can use any paint pens, actually. You could even just use a wet white or an ivory, and then go over with pencils. But yeah, I use Thule Art to create a few more strokes, but try to make it a bit more random. And then I went over with the pencils just to reduce the highlight effect. And I think that sort of helped with making the fur look more fluffy and not so perfect. So I've learned that technique. So if I can never perfect my fur with pencils, I have a technique to try and make the fur look a little bit better with the paint pens. And that's it. Oh yeah, and then I used obviously a lot of, I used white paint pen and Winsor & Newton white ink, and I used my Arteza metallic watercolor paints. I don't know if you guys can see that on the bottom, like on these little circular elements. I don't know if I'm showing that very well. Maybe if I do it this way. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, but then I went over some of them randomly, I think with the ZSCM clear glitter paint pen, just to give it a little bit of more sparkle. The one thing I was not happy with was my lanterns, how I blocked them out with the drawing gum. So I did the drawing gum as a circle, which is fine. But then I don't know why, but I did lines of the drawing gum. And in my mind, before I obviously started putting down color, before I started doing the distressing, in my mind, I thought it would help create the raise effect. I don't think I would do that again. I don't think it worked at all. So next time I would probably just block out a circle and then try and create the rays in different ways, like with paint pens or with pencils or something, but not created with the drawing gum. That was definitely a fail for me. But I think I salvaged it. You can see certain areas that don't look very perfect. So it's okay. It's always, you know, there are always days that things don't work. And it's okay to try them. So now I know it doesn't work and I will not be trying it again. But yeah, and I used a bit of glitter gel pen and stuff. But the video is up on the channel. So if you did want to see what I used exactly, in case I've forgotten anything, it's up on there. All right, that's Hannah Carlson's Seasons. I think I've done quite a bit of deers for my color alongs this month for the winter season. So sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize until I started coloring the pages that, oh, actually this is yet another deer. All right, then I can't remember when I got I got this book in January, actually. Yeah, I got this book in January. It's been on my wish list since 2020, but I've never gone ahead and bought it. And finally, I took the plunge. I'm like, okay, it's January, let me get it. I might not do a page a month. I may not get around to doing a page a month because sometimes, as you guys have seen, I only show 4 completed pages. So it might happen that I'll skip months, but it was a perfect time to get the book and start the book. So I did this page here as my first page in this book. And I really enjoyed coloring it, and I really enjoyed how the pencils felt on the paper, and just, you know, doing a page of flowers. I haven't done a page of just flowers for such a long time. I don't know why. And I forgot how relaxing it is just doing, you know, botanics, like the leaves and the flowers, and it just felt so relaxing. And so I really enjoyed that. And that's all I did. I just used I did use my Tombows actually to base some of the leaves, and I think that's and the reddish sort of leaves in the background. I didn't know what to do with those. I thought it's too much green, so I tried to break up the green with those. I don't know how it works. I think it looks okay. It sort of works in the end once everything was colored. So I based those certain elements with Tombow dual brush pens, and then I just did pencil work for the rest of it. Put a little bit of white paint pens just to dot around, and just did a pencil. I think I might have activated with water. Oh no, for that bit I used the Pablo pencils. So no, I haven't bought any new pencils yet, but I've got stock pencils of Pablo's to try out because I just wanted to, as you guys know, I like using my Albrecht Dürer pencils, but I wanted to test out, and whenever I do test out other pencils, I don't just go and buy the set, I buy stock pencils. So I try and test out, you know, brands that have stock pencils. So this time I've tried polychromos like that as well, and that's how I knew I didn't need the polychromos compared to my Albrecht Dürers, because I had the Albrecht Dürers. But so I got four. I just guessed what colors might work. So I got these 4 Caran d'Ache Pablos to try out, and I got greens because I love coloring leaves, and I thought that hopefully the greens will work, because it's hard to tell, and you know, when you're looking at the computer screen, what the shades will actually be in real life. And so I just, you know, tried to guess by the names, which is not probably the best thing to do, but anyways, I got the olive black, the khaki, I find it hard to read this compared to my Albrecht Dürers, but khaki green, what's that? Spring green and pale yellow. And I assumed that they'd work together, and they do. But anyway, so I used, I think, these two for that little inner bit just to see how they feel. They actually feel nice. They're soft. Softer than my Albrecht Dürers. Obviously, probably not as soft as Prismacolors from what I've heard what Prismacolors feel like. But they felt nice. So yeah, I just got those just to try out this month. And this one is broken quite a bit. I don't know if that's normal. If any of you have Pablos, give me some feedback. Tell me what you guys think about your Pablos. I would love to know, because it is a pencil. The only reason I'm actually thinking of Pablos is because I like just like my Albrecht Dürer pencils, I like the hexagon sort of shape to them. I like that feel. I got used to that feel basically because that's what I use. I just use my Albrecht Dürers, so I've got used to that feel compared to round pencils. And so that's what, silly, I know it's silly, but that's the first thing that attracted me to the Pablos to try them out. They're a lot thinner than my Albrecht Dürers. I like the chunky Albrecht Dürers. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. If you guys have used Pablos, if you use it a lot, what are the colors like? Have you got polychromos to compare it against, or Albrecht Dürers to compare it against? Are there better colors in the Pablos? Yeah, I'd be interested to know. But this one broke down quite a bit, so I don't know if that's a normal thing with Pablos. I was quite surprised because you can see I would have barely used this. This would have been my highlight color, so I would have just used ever so slight amounts of it, and that's the size of the pencil. So it kept breaking when I was trying to sharpen it. Even now, you can see that, oops, sorry. There, it's still a bit broken. Like, I don't know if that's normal. Is it my sharpener, maybe? That's now needs replacing. But the other pencils were fine. So yeah. Anyways, sorry, I digress. But yeah, I'd love to know about the Pablos with regards to the range of colors compared to polychromos or Albrecht Dürers, and how they work on paper. Do they work well on all paper if you guys have tried it? All right. So yeah, anyways, that's The Flower Year by Layla Dooley. Really enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll do another page for February. I haven't picked it out yet, but maybe I'll try and do the title page again, or I will probably not do those busy pages yet. Maybe do one of the smaller ones or something like that. We'll see. But I'm glad I finally got this book. It's beautiful. Layla Dooley's The Flower Year. All right, I went on a bit there. Sorry, guys. This is Christine Karen's Fairy and Fantasy, the grayscale edition. I've only ever done one page in this book, and I finally got around to doing another page, and I really enjoyed it. So this is the second page this month that I've tried to replicate original artwork. And the reason I did that was because I was flipping through this book. I wanted to, for the last few months, I've only had whenever I've showed you completed pages, I've probably had 4 completed pages, and I've just not got around to doing any portraits for quite a while. And I haven't taken part in At Norma Coloring's challenge, her monthly challenge on Instagram for portraits, or for ladies with certain hair color or eye color or lip color. And I used to do that so much. Basically every month I used to take part in that, but life has got a bit busier, and so I get less time, and I don't always gravitate towards portraits, as I've mentioned before. That my pages are more like landscapes and flowers and animals, and my mythographics and things like that. So I have to be really in the mood to do a portrait. And this month, I think At Norma Coloring's challenge was blue hair, blue eyes. And so I was flipping through this book, and I think I came across this page. And I, for some reason, remembered, because I know Christine Karen does her own colored work as well, and she has it on her website. And so I decided to go and check out whether she's done this, because for some reason I could remember that she has done blue hair for this particular illustration. So I checked it out, and luckily it was on her website, because not all the pages are always there. And this was the exact color scheme, or I've tried to replicate her exact color scheme, because I basically, once I looked at it again, I was like, okay, there's no way I'm going to be able to come up with a different idea now that I've seen her work again so fresh in my mind. And so I said, okay, I'll just go with it, and I'll just try and replicate it with pencils, because I know she uses watercolor paints and maybe pencils in combination. So yeah, basically I made the mistake of looking at her artwork and had it so fresh in my mind that I was just like, yeah, there's no hope for me. There's no way I'm going to be able to come up with a different idea after seeing her stunning work. And so I decided to just go for it and try and see if I can work with what she has. And I absolutely love it. I love that I was able to try and replicate it with my Albrecht Dürer pencil. So I did the background with the Albrecht Dürer pencils, dry to the paper, activated it with water. Her background was sort of similar. Obviously hers is so much better, but I tried to do the same sort of effect. It just, you know, I would never have thought to do my background like that, like pinks on this side, blues on that side. And then the blue hair, I tried to match up the colors as much as I could from what I could see. And then one good thing with trying to replicate, there were certain areas where she had highlights, and so I used my paint pen to do that, and I never do that on hair, and I think it works really well. Like, it looks so subtle, it doesn't look like paint pen when you're looking at it from far, but you just see those highlights. So I've picked up a few tips along the way while I've been trying to replicate her work. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it because of that. Like, it just helped me come up with different color combinations. So I basically never used that color combination for hair. So I came up with a new color combination for hair. And then trying to figure out, I don't think I've ever done trees like this, which just look, you know, very blurry. And then, like I said, the highlights. And also here, I've added like a paint pen highlight, because in her pages, even on the neck here, I would never have done that. But when I looked at her page, I could see, oh, that looks really highlighted. I'm going to try and add my paint pen to do that, to emphasize the highlight. So yeah, I really enjoyed replicating it. It was relaxing and at the same time very informative. I learned quite a bit. But yeah, I basically just used my Tombow Dual brush pens, activated with water for certain areas, dry for the skin and the hair. I used my Tombow Dual brush pens for basing the dress, because even though this is the premium quality Amazon paper, I find large areas a little bit hard to blend out the pencils. It takes quite a while. You have to be very patient and do smaller circular motions, which I don't have the patience for, so I just went ahead and used my Tombow Dual brush pens for that, and then went over with my pencils dry. Used quite a lot of white paint pen, and yeah, that's it, I think. Did I use any glitter? No glitter, no metallics. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun replicating and trying to figure out how, obviously I didn't figure out how she's done it, but it just gives you a lot of tips and tricks, I think. So yeah, enjoyed that. And the only other page I've done in this book is this one. So now I feel quite inspired to do another page. And I think I felt like that when I finished that page. And I didn't do one for so long, so I don't know. But oh yeah, I'm really excited about her new book coming out. I know it's you know, pages from her previous books, but it's better quality paper. They say it's artist quality paper. So the artist edition of some of her illustrations. And the thing I'm so excited is that I've got just 2 of her books, her Amazon books so far. So this one and her fairies one, the first one for fairies. I haven't yet colored in that one. And so I'm glad that I don't have her entire collection, because hopefully, fingers crossed, she comes out with more artist edition books to cover all her illustrations she's ever done. So I'm really excited about that. I know it doesn't come out for quite a while here in the UK, but I'm going to try and hold off in buying any of the other Amazon books until I get that copy of her artist edition, and then see what I would like to do, whether I want to get the rest of her Amazon books or whether I'm happy with the artist quality, because I know it won't have all her illustrations yet. But I buy my books so slowly that, like I said, I've only got 2 of her books so far, and they've been out for so long, so it might be worth me just getting the one artist edition and wait for hopefully another one coming along again in the future. All right, next book, next completed page is Iwi's Romantic Country, the first book. This is the Japanese edition, and we did this, yeah, as a color along on the channel. I forgot about this one. It feels like such a long time ago. yeah, I enjoyed doing this page. It hasn't come out as vibrant as a lot of my pages, but I think it works for a wintry looking page. I think I should try and change, sometimes use different styles of coloring rather than always go vibrant. But yeah, I like how this turned out. I think I used my Arbor pencils, activated with water for the background, went over with the pencils dry. Obviously, everything will be on the color along video on the channel, because I don't know if I'll remember everything. I think I based my wood with Tombow Jewel brush pens and my brick wall and the trees for some reason. I think for the trees I used my Tombow Jewel brush pens and used a water brush or paintbrush you can use to pull it on this paper, and so I think that's how I blended out the trees and then went over with the pencils dry. I used Tombow Jewel brush pens for basing a lot of these other elements, the colourful elements, and then went over with my pencils just to give a bit of shading. I used a lot of white paint pen, as you can see, and lots of Winsor & Newton white ink sprinkling just to make it look like snow is falling. I really enjoyed doing the snow on the bottom and the snowman. Yeah, so I really enjoyed doing this page. Another Eerie page. Still figuring out my style in her books. My colouring style in her books, but enjoyed this page. I don't know what you guys thought. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching the colour along. Alright, so that was from Erie's Romantic Country, the first one. And then just two more. I think I've rambled on a little bit on this video, sorry guys. Fabiana Atanazio's Mythographic Frozen Fantasies. I started this off on one of those days where I just felt like starting a new page, and I really enjoyed it. I actually finished it pretty fast. So I used Neocolor 2s to do the background. I've been wanting to colour this page for a long time, so I'm glad I finally did. So yeah, I used Neocolor 2s for the background, and then I used my Arbor pencils for basically everything else. I used Tombow Jewel brush pens for basing like the little leaves here, so I could just use one or two pencils just to give a bit of shading, so I didn't have to spend too much time. And I think I also based my planets with even the moon with the Tombow Jewel brush pens, and then I went over with the pencils dry. And then I used, in this case, I used ZSCM, I think, their glitter, or what's supposed to be the glitter paint pens, but to me it looks a bit more metallic, but I used that, and I used pencils just to give a bit of shading effect, because as you guys know, I'm not very good with leaving something just flat colored. Sometimes I should, but I find it really hard to. So even when I use glitter gel pens or metallic pens, I sometimes, or even metallic watercolor paints, I like to just add a bit of shadowing or shading. So here I think I used 2 shades of the ZSCM, 2 shades of blue of the ZSCM glitter paint pens to just give it a bit of the shadowing effect again. And that's it, not much. And white paint pen, no, not white paint pen, I used a Tule Art pastel very light blue for outlining the ice, rather than white this time. And I did the sprinkling of Winsor & Newton white ink, and yeah, just a bit of glitter gel pens and things like that to finish off the little circles and stars. Enjoyed that, really enjoyed that page, and I'm so glad I finally did it. So yeah, that was Fabiana Atanasio's Frozen Fantasies, and my last page is another Mythographic, Joseph Kattenbang's Mythographic Voyage. This page you guys have seen over and over and over again as a whip, but it's finally done, and I'm so happy it's done. So the background was done with Neocolor 2s a very long time ago. And then I just darkened up the edges with pencil. Every time I look at this page, it just makes me laugh now because of how long I took to do it. But anyways, I darkened the outside of the border or the page with pencil, and then I did pencil work for my metal cages, and I used my Arbor pencils for the woods or these areas here, but I used a Tombow Jewel brush pen, a colored Tombow Jewel brush pen, to sort of blend out the colors, to give it a bit of shadowing, and then just deepened up the shadows a little bit, so that didn't take too long. I used Tombow Jewel brush pens for basing my leaves and my flowers, and used a few colors to already sort of lay down shadow areas as well as the highlights, and then I just had to do a little bit of pencil work. I don't know why it takes me so long, even though I do basing and everything like that. But anyways, I also used Tombow Jewel brush pens for basing the dress, and then went over with the pencils dry. And for the birds and the wings of the girl, I just used my pencils dry, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. So for a long time I just had the background done, and I think and the cage work, and I sort of figured out what colors I wanted to do the flowers and leaves, and then I didn't know what to do with my birds, but I decided I wanted a very bright green for them. So I tried to combine pink and green to bring in the pink from the background, and then I had the idea that her wings are going to sort of be the same as the bird, so it all ties in together, like as if they're sort of soulmates sort of thing, you know, or spirit, you know, spirit animals. So that's what I just had in mind, and that's why I did her wings exactly the same, and I think it really worked well. And yeah, I'm just happy that I got this page done. The one thing I'm not happy with, I'm disappointed, and this is the last thing I did on the page, was her little bow. I didn't know what I wanted to do with the bow. By the time I finished coloring, I literally finished coloring everything, and it was just the bow left, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went in with just metallic pen. So it was a Sakura metallic jelly roll, and I didn't like how it looked, because obviously it was flat, just flat coloring. And so then I tried to go in with the pencils dry to create a bit of shadowing in the bow, and I'm not too happy with how that turned out, but I'm glad it's not a bright color, so your eyes don't get drawn to it. It gets a bit ignored or lost, so that's good. But I was just disappointed that I took so much effort and time to finish this page, and then the last thing that I colored on the page, I just couldn't be bothered with, and I just did whatever. But that's okay, luckily it doesn't stand out. And yeah, I used a bit of glitter gel pens, like in green and orange for these bits here, blended them together for the center of the flowers. I used my Arteza metallic watercolor paints in a silver and green, I think, for the sprinkling effect. And again, I just rushed that bit, so I didn't even bother that it was going on the outside of the page. I know I should have just seen the page through till the end, but anyways, yeah, those are just little things. I'm happy with it otherwise. But it's finally done, guys, so you won't have to see this page again for a long time too. I'm sure you're happy. So that was Joseph Cattenbang's Voyage, and that's all my pages, completed pages and whips done for January 2023. And I enjoyed my colouring. I didn't get too much time to colour, but I felt a bit more motivated to colour, so I wasted less time just flipping through books, because I do tend to sometimes, when I don't feel like colouring, I like to just sit down with a cup of tea and look through my books, and I just enjoy looking at, you know, the illustrators' artworks. It's just so inspiring and so relaxing, I find. So there was a bit less of that and a bit more colouring this time, which is probably why I managed, was it 7 pages this time compared to maybe 4 last month or something like that. But it doesn't matter. I don't think the number of pages matters. I think enjoying the process of colouring every month is what matters, and what it does for your mental health, your stress levels, you know, just your me time. I think that's the most important thing, and I feel like, yeah, I had a decent month in terms of just giving me myself some me time and just putting my mind at ease and relaxing this month. Hope you guys enjoyed watching my completed pages, my whips. Hopefully you're looking forward to seeing some of those whips completed. I don't promise that they'll be completed anytime soon, because as you know, sometimes it takes me a long time to finish them, but hopefully it won't be that long this time round, because I am enjoying those pages. But hopefully you guys had a good month of coloring too. Maybe not in quantity, but quality of coloring, or just like I said, the process of coloring. Maybe you know, it was a really relaxing month for you, hopefully. Being the first month of the year, hopefully it's been a good start for you guys. And I'll be back with you guys soon with another video. I'm not sure what yet, but I'll be back with you guys soon. So until then, take care. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.